Hey guys, it's Lyric. Welcome back to another video. I thought it would be fun to just read books with pink covers. It's February. This video might not even get out in February. It takes me a long time right now to read books, but I just thought the theme would be fun in general. Pink is my favorite color. It's currently red, pink, love, hearts, that season. And I have multiple books that are on my TBR that I am also in the mood to read right now, and they happen to have pink covers. So I thought, why not make a video? So yeah, the first one is kind of a new release and I'm really excited for it. By the way, I just finished Onyx Storm, so this is the perfect book to jump into after whatever that was. Let's not talk about it. This is Sarah Adams' new release. I think it came out about 1 or 2 weeks ago, and it's the third book in the When in Rome series. It's an interconnected series with these siblings, and all the siblings have a book. This is the third one. I really love this world and this small town. The first two books I really thoroughly enjoyed, and I have a feeling I might like this one the most just based off the premise. Emily and Jack have been nemesis for forever basically, but they both teach at the same school, and I think they're also both writers. So at the beginning of the book, Jack ends up leaving town with his fiance because he's gonna, you know, move out, start a new life, and Emily's low-key like, thank goodness, I'm tired of always beefing with him. They're always bickering back and back, just like going at it all the time. At the beginning of the book, he ends up coming back because turns out that marriage, that whole situation is a no-go. So he's back in town. Not only is he back in town, he ends up being Emily's new neighbor. So Emily's like, oh boy, he's back. I'm gonna try to like sabotage his return. I'm gonna mess with him. And apparently she has a plan, and Jack ends up catching on to it. So he's like, okay, bet. This can go both ways, girly. It also says Emily accidentally sends an email to the school that she works for, the principal, and it could possibly reveal her secret side hustle, which is writing. So I guess she's an author, but she doesn't like want people in her small town to know that, because small town people will yap. They get a little bit of information, yap. So yeah, that's the premise of this one. I'm really excited because it's kind of like enemies to lovers, and they're writers, also school teachers, neighbors. I just really like the idea and the setup of this one. So yeah, that is going to be the first book in this video. Also the cover, obviously it's pink, but just in general, look at how cute it is. That's just such a cute cover. I love all the covers in this series as well. The colors, the characters, they're all very well done. I'm really excited for this. I've read one chapter so far, but I'm going to get a little more reading in, and I will keep you guys updated. Okay, time for a little bit of an update. I'm currently on page 112. I have read this book so quickly. It's going so well, and I don't know if this is just because I just finished Onyx Storm and I need something lighthearted, airy, rom-com-y like this, but I am giggling on almost every other page. The banter between these two is so much fun. It's the perfect amount of like fun, but they've always had this competition between the two of them. It's so funny. It is so funny the way they're joking, and then they're sending these emails to each other. It's hilarious. The emails every single time are so funny. I underlined this right here because it describes them and their vibes so well, but it says, we've perfected and fine-tuned our hatred into an art form. Like, their hatred for each other is perfect, and I love it because they both acknowledge that they do dislike each other, but they miss when they don't have that connection. Like when Jack was out of town, he missed that back and forth with Emily, and Emily has also admitted to herself that when he was out of town, she missed that back and forth little competition bickering thing they always did when he was a teacher at the school. But yeah, so far I think this couple is gonna be my favorite out of this series so far, because I'm always an enemies to lovers girl. Most likely never gonna stray from that. So when there's a vibe like that in a romance book, I'm always gonna eat it up, but I just really like this one. It is done very well. Sarah Adams' writing is just so easy to keep keep reading, and I can't get enough of the banter. Like, I keep saying this, but it is really good and it's so much fun and it's funny too. I was giggling so much in the first part of this book. Yeah, but I finally got to a part where they had this interaction and both Emily and Jack have had a moment when they're like, wait, is there something more than hate here? So I just got to that part of the story, but so far I would definitely recommend this. It's just so much fun, and that's like not even diving into the whole small town aspect of it and like Emily's family with her sisters and the other people we've met from the other 2 books. All of that, always love it. I love the town of Rome, Kentucky, and the whole vibe, the small town, all the other characters. It's so much fun, but the dynamic between these 2 is, I'm loving it, eating it up. And the last thing I underlined really describes what I was talking about, how they both had that moment where they were like, wait. But the smile she gave me in the truck surfaces in my mind again, and suddenly chasing this old feud doesn't seem nearly as appealing as chasing that smile. Okay, that's the update. Also, there are so many funny moments in this. I like can't find any right now to read off to you guys. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like funny, hateful, not actually hateful, kind of attracted banter. Ugh, I'm loving it. As a last-ditch effort, I turned on an audiobook for a little background noise, and the next thing I knew, I was sobbing on the floor and clutching a bottle of wine in my pajamas because the hero loved the heroine, and I'm never going to be loved. No one wants me. I'm all alone in this life. I just finished this today, and it's safe to say that this book, I enjoyed it. I really, really liked it. As I've already mentioned, the banter in this and like the style of banter, the way it wasn't like fully enemies to lovers. I guess it kind of was in the sense of a romance book. Obviously, it's not going to go as crazy as fantasy, but I loved that style of banter. It was so good. It had the perfect mix of joking back and forth, but also low-key throwing punches, but also being funny all at the same time. I've had banter like that with people in real life, and that is my favorite thing ever. This specific trope in relationship is the type that I read about, and I genuinely, truly would love if it happened to me in real life. Any men out there, there are no men watching this video, pick up this book. This is the blueprint. This is what I want. I was obsessed with this style of banter. I had so much fun. I really, really loved the overall story of this. Also, of course, the small town, all of the Walker family. There were a lot of cameo moments, and I love all of the scenes where they're together. It kind of reminds me of like the Chestnut Springs world, but in a little less of a cowboy sense type of way. I get so excited for the scenes where they're all involved, and they're just so good. And seeing the relationships that I've read about in the other books, I just love it. It gets better and better as this little interconnected series continues. Another thing I really liked about this, but also kind of didn't like sometimes, is how much I related to Emily. It was scary. I did not expect to annotate. I didn't annotate this like a crazy amount. I was not expecting to connect the way I did and to find so many quotes and things that hit so hard. It felt like Sarah Adams took a lot of my inner thoughts and was like, yeah, write that down. Go ahead and throw that one in there too. And I'm just sitting there, like my jaw was on the floor for some of these parts. I was like, hey, so that's actually me? Who took my diary? How did you figure that out? Yeah, Emily's not the oldest sibling, but she kind of took on that role. A lot of the way she acts is very much eldest sibling. That's what I am as well. Oldest daughter, oldest child. Anytime that happens in a book, I relate, but this one specifically, I related a lot. Just a lot of Emily's thoughts and stuff. I found myself connecting with those, and I was like, wow. All right, so somebody knows a little too much about me. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. If you're looking for a fun rom-com with like that back and forth banter, that tension that's also funny. Highly recommend this one. So far, of all of Sarah Adams' books, this is my favorite one I've read. I don't know if my rating is going to reflect that because I can't remember what I've rated her other books, but just know as of now, this is 100% my favorite book of hers that I've read. Giving this one 4 stars. Highly recommend. Definitely go read it if this sounds like something you would be interested in. Okay, so the next pink book I'm going to be reading is How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. First off, this cover is so pretty, not just because it's pink, but like in general. I just love the look of it. I like the layout. I think it's a very intriguing cover. I've heard great things about this book, and as soon as it came out, it has been on my radar, but I haven't picked it up yet. So this is a perfect video to read this book. Also up here, it has a little blurb from Emily Henry. It says, one of the sexiest, smartest, funniest, most effective novels I've read in a long time. And then I was reading like the about section about the author, and it says she's a screenwriter and a director, and she's also the adapting screenwriter of Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation, as well as the writer / director of the forthcoming Beach Read film. That sets my expectations kind of high for this. You know, working with the Emily Henry, something about it, I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy this. So this is about Helen and Grant. Helen is a best-selling author. She has poured her everything into her career, and then Grant is, what does he do actually? Helen is a young adult author, and at the beginning of this book, her book that she's written is getting adapted into a TV show or a movie or something like that. So she's going through that whole process, and at the beginning, right when they're having like their first meeting where all like the head people, the screenwriters, all of that, one of the main guys on the project, I'm still a little confused as to what his role is, like what his job is specifically, but the MMC, his name is Grant, he's there. Nobody knows yet that Helen and Grant already know each other. You're wondering how they know each other? Let's go to the first scene of this book, which I have already read. It starts at the funeral of Helen's younger sister. Grant walks in. Helen's mother is annoyed that Grant's there. Helen's annoyed. They tell him to leave, to never show his face again. Helen's sister died because she got hit by Grant while he was driving. So that's the first scene I read about. And then obviously they just had that meeting. She saw Grant. She was like, literally leave. Pull out of this. I don't want to work with you. I don't want you here. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like the premise or the beginning of the book. That's all that I've read so far. I can say the writing pulled me in very quickly. It is very engaging. Literally from page 1, you're just hooked. I am really excited to see where the relationship goes between Helen and Grant, especially because the title says How to End a Love Story. I'm still not sure if this is going to end up being heavy on romance or more of like literary fiction, little romantic feelings, but not quite. That's what it's about. That's my super early update. I will see you guys later. This morning I finished reading, well, I finished listening to the audiobook of How to End a Love Story. I went between reading and listening for this book, especially once I hit the 50% mark. The way I work sometimes is if I'm reading a book and I can tell it's just like not going to be a favorite or one that I care that much about, and I can tell I'm not going to annotate it that much, if I can find it as an audiobook, I'll start listening to it more. I realized I did not update you guys basically throughout the whole process of reading this book, and that actually kind of explain my feelings and everything about this book, because I quite literally just like didn't have anything exciting to share about this. That might sound kind of mean and a little harsh, but just the whole experience of reading this book felt like this. Okay, like it was there. The book was there. I read it. It was fine. The writing specifically, I think at the beginning, I don't know what it was, just like the first few chapters made me think the writing was going to be a lot better. The more I read this book, the more I was like, this is very mid. Right now, I'm not a writer. I never claimed to be a writer. I can never write this good, but as a reader who has read from other authors and stuff like that, this writing just felt very plain. Like, it just felt like we were saying what happened, and what happened was what happened. There were a few small moments where I almost wanted to underline something. I ended up not writing in this book. I think I'm gonna try to sell it on Pango. I've never sold anything on there before. I might put this one on there because I didn't write it in or anything, and it's still in really good condition. But yeah, the writing to me just felt so plain and simple, and it just wasn't deep in my opinion. I feel like the connection between our main characters, we obviously have like a tragic event that links them, but then in the middle of the story where they start like doing stuff together, it was so sexual. To me, it felt like there wasn't even enough emotional connection to dive into the sexual part that they dove into. And then once they dove into it, it was happening so much. I was reading yet again another one of those scenes, and I literally sat back and hit it with a sigh. Here we go again. It kind of did get annoying. I just think if we put as much detail and attention that was put into those smutty scenes, if we put that much into like their emotional connection, I would have liked this more. But it was just in the middle of the book. It was happening after like every time they interacted. You're literally just communicating in the most normal way ever. How are you both so turned on to the point that you have to hit it right now? Can we maybe exchange 20 words first? But that might just be me. I did, however, like the way this book ended. The epilogue didn't annoy me. It wasn't unnecessary. There was some intention behind the epilogue, and the way this book ended was good. So yeah, I'm gonna give this 3 stars. It was just very mid to me. It was fine. I guess I would still recommend it if you're in the mood to read this specifically, but check the trigger warnings, because the tragic event that links the two of them, read up about that before you get into it. Nothing exciting, nothing crazy. I'm probably gonna forget about it in a few months. It was still a good time, and it has a cute little pink cover. So yeah, 3 stars for How to End a Love Story. For the final book in this video, I am reading First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I'm already about like a third of the way through, so I wanted to give a few of my thoughts and like share what the premise of this book is. At the time that I'm reading this, I'm pretty sure this is like a newer release. Basically, the premise of this book is Lucy's daughter ends up calling into like a radio show, and it's basically like a love line where the host kind of like helps people out with their love problems, listens to their problems, and then kind of gives advice and just has a conversation with them. Lucy catches her daughter on the phone with this man, and she's like, what are you doing talking to a man? And she doesn't understand what's going on until her daughter's like, so I just actually kind of wanted to help you out, Mom. You seem lonely sometimes, and I don't want you to be lonely. So Lucy ends up having a conversation with the host of this love hotline. His name is Aiden Valentine, and basically at this point in Aiden's life, he has like given up on love. All of the calls he's been getting in just have made him like not believe in love. He's so discouraged. He's just doing this for his job. He literally wants his radio station to like cancel this whole show. But then after this call with Lucy, she's just so real and honest, and she's sharing about how she's tired of just like having to try so hard for something that is supposed to come natural. Like love, true love is just supposed to be natural. And so she just starts kind of pouring her heart out on this little show, and within like a few weeks or something, that specific portion of their show ends up going viral, and everyone's hearing about it. It's bringing in lots of numbers for the talk show and everything. So Maggie, who is like the head person of that show, is like, we need to get Lucy back here. We should get her back on this show and make it more of like a permanent segment where we could help Lucy find a match or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of like the premise of the book. Obviously Aiden, after he has this conversation with Lucy, he's just like enamored by her honesty, and he loves her voice. He's like obsessed with her voice. And yeah, he just really liked that it was a very honest and realistic conversation, which he just hadn't been getting any of that on the show in quite some time. The beginning portion so far, I've been enjoying it. I like the pacing. Everything's going really well. I like the side characters so far as well. Aiden's friend Jackson, he does the weather on like the radio. He is so funny, and I feel like, because I think this is the first book in this series, I think Jackson's gonna have a book, and it's gonna be with him. Whoever this other lady is that I think works at the same place as them. There's a point at the beginning of the book where Jackson is parking in his specific parking spot that is his, that he always parks in, but he's climbing out his window, practically falling out because the other lady that he's always going back and forth with parked too close. And that scene was just so funny. Aiden's over here, he's like, you know, you could go out the back of your car or the other door. There are so many other options. And Jackson is just so sad. He's like, if only she would park in the line. Like, it was just funny. It was a funny little scene. I think I'm gonna enjoy Lucy as an FMC. She's also a mechanic, which is really cool. She's like a woman in a male dominated field. Her co-workers, we haven't seen too much of them. I think I'm gonna see more of them throughout the book, but I like them as well. What I think is gonna happen is all these men are gonna start calling into this hotline. Lucy and Aiden are gonna be on it together, but Aiden's gonna probably start pushing them off because he likes Lucy, but then I feel like he's not gonna tell Lucy. For some reason, that's just like the vibe I'm getting. I don't know. That's just what I think is gonna happen. I'm having a good time so far. The cover is absolutely stunning. Obviously, it's pink for this video. I was so interested in reading this book when I first saw the cover. It's just so pretty. I will keep on reading and share my thoughts with y'all later.